Hello and welcome to Crypto Simplified, a podcast series where we attempt to demystify cryptocurrencies. Joining me on the call today is ZebPay's CEO, Avinash Shekhar, to talk about the rapidly evolving and often mercurial industry of crypto assets. Hi, Avinash. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, hi Abhishek. Nice. Thanks for inviting me.
While going through your recent decade in the corporate world, I noticed that you have been the CFO of Urban Ladder before diving into this world of crypto. So, what attracted you to start with?
Basically, I've been all through finance guy, mostly done finance roles. I was CFO for Urban Ladder, as you said before joining ZebPay. And in fact, there is a very interesting story. I mean, when 2000 middle 2017, so I got this call. Basically, I met the founders of ZebPay. Initially, I was not very convinced. At that point of time, I also had like back of my mind, I heard that there is something called Bitcoin. I didn't really know what it is. Basically, same questions which obviously people ask, like less people ask, but more interest is coming now. Same questions that whether it's backed by anything, whether it has value or not, why should we invest in Bitcoin? Initially, I said I was not convinced, but then we had like hours long call with the founders, and finally I got convinced that okay, yes, there is something here. I really don't know, but there's something here. And so that's when I joined ZebPay around mid of 2017. But I think after that, I mean, it's like changed obviously my life, everything, because whosoever actually has gone and spent time in understanding Bitcoin, I mean, it's very, very difficult. I mean, I've not seen anyone that doesn't see value, doesn't see that it is going to change the world.
So, what has changed? You said that times were different back in 2017. And also, since then, millions of Indians have trusted Bitcoin and crypto assets where they could park some of their savings, if nothing else, to diversify their investment portfolio, so to speak.
Yeah.
How have things changed since the time you had joined the industry to where we are today?
So I think industry has significantly matured. I mean, last 4.5 years, there has been a sea change. So there has been a significant increase in education. In 2017, a significant amount of people were investing only for speculations. Obviously, now also people invest for speculation, but the percentage of people who have conviction, who have actually studied in their investing time and energy in understanding Bitcoin, that ratio has, I think, significantly gone up. Exchanges have done some work in terms of education, which is obviously it's an ongoing effort. But at the same time, the institutional investors have come. Okay, so they and I think it's the only asset class where retail have come first and institutions have entered later. And so that validation again reinforces the belief of early adopters that this is something which can be very big. This is something which is a technological innovation. So that understanding, I think, has evolved over a period of time. I think lot and lot more people have more conviction now.
How much of this interest do you attribute to, let's say, certain decisions or policies that are made in the West? Often, there is this term called demonstration effect in economics, where you try and copy what others like you are doing, hoping for the same result. So how is India similar and different in your view when it comes to this industry?
So India actually, in terms of adoption, it is one of the front runner in terms of adoption of crypto. What has happened in the West is that in terms of regulations, in terms of taxation, there's more clarity. They're slightly ahead of India in terms of putting those framework in place. So there is clarity, and with clarity comes conviction. What is happening in the West is that on a technological side, the technological innovation, again, the same. People are more investing in technological innovation. Okay, so there are two parts of the business. One is that you buy Bitcoin or crypto, and second is that you build on that network. You contribute, you invest money in not only like buying crypto, but also putting the technology, developing the technology. And because of whatever is happening in India, that is not clear, and people are still a little bit hesitant in terms of, okay, if I put 1 lakh rupees, I lose 1 lakh rupees, but if I start a career in crypto or I start a crypto company, that's a much bigger risk to take, and it has much bigger rewards obviously also.
The recent move in February, when the finance minister announced or at least acknowledged to start with that the world of crypto assets does exist, and that there will be a tax levied on income from cryptocurrencies, and that itself has gotten very mixed reactions, whether on social
Yeah.
media, on prime time. What is your view of that? Is it a small start, or is it counterintuitive that you are trying to slap a tax on a product which is just about getting off when it should have been supported? You are, trying to tamp it down. It's a bit of a, debate out there. Where do you stand? On which side, Avinash?
So as you said, it's mixed, but I think it's more negative than positive to a certain extent. Obviously, on the positive side, there is some acknowledgement, and there has been a sea change in last 1 year at least, where 1 year back, around 12, 13 months back, there was like talk of absolute ban and ban everything and heavy fine and penalty and jail terms. Okay. So the government has come a long way from that. So that's obviously positive. But the way the government is putting the tax is, I think it's like almost like a sin tax, basically putting 30% tax bracket on everyone, not allowing set off, not allowing carry forward of losses. This 1% TDS, which is obviously will have a very, very negative impact on the industry. They have gone like overboard, basically. We believe that in near future, they will obviously understand the tax implications, which we are seeing right now. So my view is that overall it's mixed, but more on a negative side.
And what would you rather like it to be? What would be the ideal scenario?
As an industry and a society and a government, we have to decide is that it is a technology of the future. It is something which is, it's like banning internet or like taxing internet. If we understand that this is a good technology, not a bad technology, this is going to bring good things to the way we do, let's say, finance, social media, many things. It's going to disrupt the many industries. So whether as a country we want to take leadership in that new industry or new phenomena which is coming, or we want to say that okay, we don't understand what really it is, and that's why, let's say, put as many barriers as one can. So that approach, I think, needs to be rethought. Once we do that, and then everything else follows, basically. Because the thing is that, again, I said that it is not a question of buying and selling. Okay, buying and selling is only the end game or end step, last step. The first few steps are that whether as an engineer, whether as an entrepreneur, I am going to innovate in this or not, or whether I will innovate for a foreign company or whether I will innovate for an Indian company, whether I will innovate in India or whether I will innovate outside India. Because that value, if we are going out and if we people are going out and working for foreign companies, then the IP, the value creation is happening for the foreign company. It's not happening for accruing to India. That is more important than, because what we run is like a simple business. Okay, someone wants to buy, sell, we enable them to buy and sell. But working in technologies field, working on these technologies, innovating here is, I think, much more important, which government should encourage.
Is it also that it's so difficult to understand in the first place, the technology itself? Does it lack a good marketing in the country, perhaps? If you talk about e-commerce, it's very easy to convince somebody to say, hey, this is how it works. There is no middleman. There are godowns. You place an order online, and from the nearest pin code, the material gets shipped to your house. But if you were to explain blockchain to someone, applications of blockchain, it becomes a little esoteric for many people. So is that also a reason why it hasn't taken off, or is it still early days perhaps? And as things stand, history has shown us that laws usually catch up with technology. It's never the other way around. It's actually the groundbreaking technology that comes first. Maybe some rules are broken or bent, and then the law says, okay, let's try and figure this out because it has something in it for the final consumers. Is it difficult to understand or communicate this concept itself? Where exactly is it lacking?
One is that we have to understand it's a totally new industry. It's like totally new asset class. In last 100 years, I mean, how many new asset class has come? I mean, internet was one. It is at that level, the new technology is coming. I mean, if you think about when internet came, it was not welcomed, obviously. But in crypto, it's like around 10, 12 years old asset class, 12-year-old industry. We are already seeing a very, very big adoption. And from a user point of view, from a people who want to invest, people who want to innovate, people who want to code on blockchain. That adoption it's more than maybe what internet did in last first 10, 12 years in its life. So user adoption is there. What is not coming is obviously from a government understanding point of view or from a regulation understanding point of view. Basically, what we are saying is that wherever there is a centralized agency, wherever there is a centralized party, third party, which is the same thing can be done better in a decentralized manner. There is no single point of failure. You don't need to trust a third party. It is much more significantly, much more transparent than a centralized concept. Everything is available. It is open. I mean, if you have let's say, a stockbroker or a social media or a bank, you can't there look at their source code on the internet and innovate on that. Here, you can look at Bitcoin source code, you can look at Ethereum source code, it is available, and you can work on that, innovate on that. So you are actually building on someone's work. It's much more revolutionary in terms of the speed at which the innovation will happen or is happening. It's much more revolutionary. People are already seeing it. So I think it's a time, as you said, that regulations will take some time to understand. Obviously, every technology brings a large part of good things, but some bad things. As society, again, we have to tackle those bad things. But I think overall, I see it's going in right direction, and I see that it is becoming much more popular and mainstream than it is today.
I think that sure is. I think the interest, especially after the budget, also has risen. At least people who are wanting to park some part of their savings, at least now know that it is where they stand from the legality perspective. Not to suggest that it was illegal before, but there is a little more clarity. And you talked a little bit about increasing or improving adoption. From that standpoint, Avinash, at ZebPay, what are a couple of measures that have been taken or products that may have been launched in the recent past, or what a couple of plans that you have to improve the stickiness of the platform itself?
One of the most important things which we focus is on education. Two things: education. People should actually understand what they are investing into. I mean, investing like small amount is okay, so that you build the interest, maybe 100 rupees, 500 rupees, 1000 rupees. But I think after that, investing in education is important, which we try to help to our customers. That is one. Second is, I think from a feature point of view, for example, we just recently launched Quick Trade, where like the new users, they don't understand the open order book, they can go and quickly buy and sell. We have product which is related to passive income. We have like lending and lend and earn feature where customer can earn some passive income on their crypto while holding their crypto. These are the features which we have launched. Obviously, we continue to UI UX, we continue to improve. Another point, actually, coming back to education, which I missed, is that why education is important is that it's a volatile asset class, which basically means is that there will be ups and downs, which will be sometimes more than other asset class. I mean, now it may not be relevant if you see the stocks also, the way they are behaving, and oil, the way it's behaving. But what happens is that if you are investing without actually really understanding it, then that conviction will not come. And if that conviction doesn't come and the Bitcoin price goes down by 30, 40, 50%, you will obviously panic sell and move out. But I have seen actually other way is more important. That if let's say you have invested 1 lakh rupees in crypto, Bitcoin, and it goes to 2 lakh rupees, the chances are that you will sell and move out. The chances of, if 1 lakh goes to 50,000, if the chances of you selling it, panic selling it, let's say 60%. If 1 lakh becomes 2 lakh, then the chances of selling is like 80%, because you don't have that conviction. And the education gives you that conviction, basically. I mean, this is a hypothetical number. I don't know whether it's like 50, 60% or 80%. But in terms of directional.
Right, because Avinash, I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but in this series that we've been doing, when we've spoken to a few folks who are deeply entrenched in the technology, they have always, the common thread among all those podcasts is education. Please look at the white papers, look at the project, look at the future, look at the team, and do get your hands dirty rather than believing on a tip from a friend. He says, hey, this is a new crypto asset, put some money in there. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
And also, when it comes to keeping the UI UX simple that you were talking about, which basically is to make sure that whether you are a 18-year-old or an 80-year-old for that matter,
Yeah.
the idea is that the interface is easy enough for you to trade.
Yeah, that's right.
So what kind
Yeah.
of effort goes into that?
Simplicity is, I think, is the most difficult thing to execute. Okay, so
Right.
that's what we try to do in terms of number of click it takes to let's execute a trade, but at the same time giving full information to the customers. So whether the screens which they're it's like intuitive enough or not, they know what they're doing basically, and it's like a continuous improvement. For example, if let's say they are buying a particular token, can you provide certain information on that screen itself about that token in terms of what kind of project it is if they want to understand. It's a continuous process. We like every week, 2-3 weeks, every month, we like keep on releasing a new version basically, so to say,
Right.
slightly increasing the friendliness or the UI UX.
All right. And last couple of questions, Avinash, and here I'm switching gears to the company's culture. What kind of talent do you attract, and what is it that you've seen in the recent past among the kind of folks who apply for a job in this industry, more so in ZPay because you're not a newcomer exactly. So how have things changed there as well?
So 2-3 things. Again, the thing is, as an industry, it is not easy to recruit. A, people are reluctant, obviously, that it's a new industry. B, obviously, the environment, the regulatory environment is not clear. It's not easy, but obviously we recruit people. And one of the internal culture we have, we call it Ohana. Basically, it's like it's a word for family. So we call ourselves like a high performance family, so to say. We push each other, we question each other, but at the same time, we understand each other basically. Again, same thing, we believe that learning is very, very important. I mean, coaching people, giving them training, because again, if a new engineer comes, which from a new, I will not get a blockchain engineer, for example. If I have supply of 2-3 blockchain engineers, I have supply of 15-20 good engineers which are general engineers. So should we take those blockchain engineers? Yes, but should we also take these 20 people and train them because they are generally very good and can quickly learn? So learning and development again becomes very, very important, and which is true in any industry. I mean, 20 years back, I was starting, I mean, at a very junior level in telecom. There was no telecom industry in India, and even worldwide it was not a very very big industry. So the same thing is happening in crypto, that you have to have a mix of people who have experience in crypto, but also people who don't have experience in crypto, and train them and treat them as a family. So that's, I think, the culture which we try to imbibe internally.
Right. So it is indeed difficult to get the right talent because it's new. Perhaps that's also one reason that
Yeah.
it's straight out of only a decade old.
Yeah.
So everyone's trying to figure things out themselves. And the last one, Avinash. So given this as a background, where do you see we shape up from here in the next 3 to 5 years? It's a fool's errand to even try to look at what might happen half a decade down the line. But if I may put you on a spot, pick your gray cells on it. Where do you see this go? I mean, how big a future is there, especially for a country like India? We know that there are applications like NFTs and then land records can be on the blockchain. But when do you see people talk about it on the streets? Let me put it that way. So when do you see this becoming mainstream?
Right now, we are sitting at a place where we are, I think, seeing a beginning of a hockey curve, and next 3 to 5 years is going to be like really, really important, where the actual you will see those actual use cases. You will see like a big decentralized social media company coming in, competing with the mainstream social media companies. You will see decentralized finance becoming big and really, really in a way challenging, or working with the traditional finance. You will see that all these decentralized storage, decentralized identity management, wherever you see that there is a centralized person, centralized agency sitting, there is a way there will be decentralized versions of those. Some will succeed, some will fail, some will succeed earlier than later, some will succeed later, but that's going to happen. That's the future. Decentralization is the future, because decentralization and open trust-led open systems, they are more democratic. They are more in terms of you can easily build on them because you're building on the knowledge of others very, very quickly.
Right.
Okay, you can easily trace errors because there are literally thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who are looking at the same code trying to find an error. So as a technology, I think it's a very, very great future. It is going to be bigger than internet. There's no doubt about it. 5 years, 10 years down the line, people will ask that why I didn't see it coming, or why it will become like as obvious as internet is today. But that journey will not be like easy. It is going to be difficult. It is going to be with roadblocks, okay, with some ups and downs. But I think overall direction is, I think I'm very, very optimistic on the overall direction.
Lovely. I think on that optimistic note, Avinash, it's time to wrap this one up. Thank you very much for your time on the podcast and the podcast.
Thanks, Abhishek. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.